Hi and welcome to another flight review. This time we're on an Airbus A350 and we are flying British Airways Club Suites all the way back to London Heathrow. We start our trip in Nairobi, Kenya. As you enter the airport, please pack your patience because you're greeted with long lines and queues everywhere. You have a total of 3 different security checkpoints and an immigration checkpoint, and you can't even enter the terminal to check in until you wait in this long line of security. After going through the initial security point, check-in was a breeze with British Airways. There wasn't a wait or a long line. Afterwards, you have to go through immigration, which had a very long line even for priority immigration queues. And then afterwards, you go through another security checkpoint. And then lastly, at the gate, you have to go through another security checkpoint. So it's a very long process. It took me almost an hour and a half to go through everything. And unfortunately, I did not have enough time to go through the lounge as I kind of arrived 2 hours before departure. The nice part about Nairobi Airport is you have stunning views of your aircraft as you are entering. We take a look here at our fairly new A350 of British Airways, and once you come on board, the crew is ready to give you welcome drinks and you're greeted with a lot of amenities. British Airways provides nice noise cancelling headphones, an amenity kit, mattress topper, duvet, and a bottle of water all waiting for you at your seat. And as we take a look around their new business class suite, we can begin to appreciate just the amount of storage that you have. You have a total of 3 different enclosed and lockable storage locations. This is the biggest one, which has the IFE remote and the universal power outlet. You also have another cubby right behind it for passports or anything along those lines. And then you have a third cubby, which is where you can store your amenity kit, a water bottle, maybe headphones. Just really great storage here, and it kind of pales in comparison to their old business class that they still have on some crafts. Here's a quick look at the menu for the flight. Considering this was a red-eye departure back up to London, they had an amazing menu, and everything that I had was very well seasoned. It was probably one of the best business class meals that I've had with British Airways, and they did a phenomenal job. So feel free to take a look at the menu as we go through it. We had a nice quick departure out of Nairobi and made it a very sharp right turn as we departed. Now that we're airborne, let's take a look at one of the best business class seats out flying today. What I like about this seat is just the privacy. You really get to appreciate the privacy. You can't see anyone whether the door is open or closed. You have an amazing amount of space. You don't feel enclosed. You are really given a nice sense of privacy. British Airways did a great job with the color, and the finishes have all held up fairly well. As we are airborne, we take a quick look at the high life entertainment system of British Airways, and I must say I'm very impressed. They have a great selection of shows, of movies. They have not 1 or 2 episodes. They have like full seasons, sometimes 2 or 3 seasons at a time. The system is very responsive. It kind of starts out a little laggy, but it kind of picks up speed once you get airborne. Just a great job overall of the selection for British Airways. As we move into the meal service, you are given a hot towel and then drink orders come out. You also get some nuts in a bag, which I think this is something that they can improve. I think airlines can serve warm nuts, but that's just kind of being nitpicky, to be honest with you. The food service was just wonderful on this flight. Everything tasted immaculate. I had one of the best seasoned steaks that I've had on a plane. The service was quick. I think everything finished up in a little over an hour, which, considering this is a red-eye departure, means a lot. You weren't waiting. The crew just were kicking on all cylinders. So shout out to the crew for doing such an excellent job, and shout out to the catering department for really cooking a great meal. Wi-Fi was available for purchase, but it was just a little too pricey for me, and considering that you had so much entertainment, there was really no purpose in getting Wi-Fi unless you had to work or tend to some other business. Now that the meal service is done, let's take a look at the seat in depth. This is what the door looks like once it's closed. You still have a great sense of privacy. I will say it's not as high as the Q Suite doors, but I will say British Airways did a great job with having it high enough that you are actually able to use it and get privacy without it feeling like a gimmick like other business class seats that, either have a door or a partition. I think they did a great job. The door closes, almost fully, and it really makes a huge difference whether you're seated down or you're in bed mode. The finishes of this are really great. They give you a mattress topper and a duvet. Like I said, I don't want to nitpick, but Cathay Pacific has an amazing duvet, while American Airlines gives you a better mattress topper for flights of this length. I will say British Airways, does a great job regardless. They give you a better mattress topper in first class, so I think they have to distinguish between the two. But this is an excellent seat nonetheless, and it's an excellent way to spend 9 or 10 hours. As we take a look, this is what it looks like in bed mode. You're really just given an amazing sense of privacy. And I will say, in reverse herringbone suites like this, sometimes the bed is too high, and you can feel that you're just kind of elevated. While this just is perfect. It's not too low, it's not too high. It's a great trade-off. Your knees don't hit. You have great sense of foot space. And you can see just how much privacy you have in bed mode, laying down, and the door is closed. You're just really given your own little cocoon to enjoy as you sleep. Bathrooms were kept fairly clean throughout the flight, and there really weren't any issues. There's 3 for business class, and there's another 6 for the rest of the plane. As we went through the entire plane, this was a 100% full flight. There was not even an empty seat almost anywhere on this plane. All of economy, all of premium economy, and all of business class are full. And this just gives me a second to take the time to just kind of acknowledge the crew's efforts for this flight. This was a midnight departure, and it was an overnight flight down to London, but the crew worked so hard. For whatever reason, I couldn't really sleep on this flight, not due to comfort, but I just slept too much before the flight, and they were always in the cabin, in the galley, and always asking if I needed anything or if they could do anything to make it more comfortable of a flight. So they just did an excellent job, so shout out to the crew for being great. As we walk through, we'll see the other parts of the cabin, including the little snack basket for any of the business class passengers. So about 90 minutes before arrival, the second meal service was served. I got the grilled chicken option, and it was a warm chicken sandwich with an English breakfast tea, which I thought was a great way to end the flight. As we begin to wrap up the flight and start our final descent into London, I'm going to give my final thoughts on this flight. I will say British Airways has come a long way. I know when they had their old business class, I did everything I could to avoid it. It just wasn't really worth paying the money or miles or points to fly on that old seat. Once British Airways introduced a new seat on all A350s, most 777s, and some newly delivered 787s, they just did a great job with this design. It's night and day between the two, and I'm very impressed. You combine that with the British service that they offer, it becomes a great duo to fly any length of flight that British Airways offers. I will say the catering on British Airways is always pretty amazing. I have not had a bad experience, and they always tend to have your first option when ordering. Additionally, I think this specific meal service just was amazing. Generally, steak's hard to get on a plane, and they just did a great job with seasoning it just right, that it wasn't too much seasoning, but it was well seasoned, to say the least. As we begin to talk about the crew, I've said it multiple times throughout the video, this crew was just phenomenal. They were very active and attentive without being too overbearing. So finally, how did I book this? I think it's important to just be transparent in how flights were booked, and I think it really helps people strategize to take these flights. You don't have to be rich. I'm surely not rich, but I think you have to be smart in how you book things. This combines aviation, which is a deep passion of mine, but I also love deals. And so whether I use points or whether I pay cash, I really spend a lot of time trying to strategize on how best to take the routes to give me what I want. So to be fully transparent, this flight cost me $1,500, that's USD, round trip. And the reason for it, there was a killer deal on American Airlines where if you flew from Nairobi, Kenya to anywhere in the United States, you can go round trip in business class for $1,500. So this flight was the first leg of that itinerary, and so really it's just an absolute bargain. I think a lot of people took advantage of this deal. Business class was full, and it was funny because there was a lot of people going to secondary cities in the US that generally don't see international traffic, and so they were asking questions to the flight crew about collecting bags and how to transfer onwards on American Airlines. And so that was kind of funny to see, but sometimes these deals are out there, you just have to find them, and other times I use points. So the point of this channel is to try to be as transparent as possible, just to help you strategize on how you could redeem your hard-earned dollars or euros or pounds to determine how best you can have these experiences while still being on a budget. This wraps up this flight. Join me for my next flight as we depart London Heathrow on to Dallas on an American Airlines 777. That was a special experience, and surprisingly this British Airways flight was slightly better than my American Airlines flight. Please enjoy the views into London Heathrow as we wrap up this 10-hour journey from Nairobi, Kenya.